many typhoon-ravaged areas are still isolated with communication and power lines knocked out by Odette. Now, we speak with Cathy Yang from PLDT and Smart. Thank you for your time, Cathy.
Hi, David. Good evening.
What's the report you're getting on the scope of the downed lines of PLDT and Smart in the Visayas and Mindanao as an effect of this monster typhoon?
Right. It is indeed a monster typhoon, wasn't it, David? And in the likeness of maybe Yolanda, Hayan, I've had colleagues in Cebu say it's such a powerful storm and it just came so rapidly. Just to give you an update in Mindanao, because that's the latest that I have, we have been full on trying to restore our network there because it's been downed by the typhoon since last night. And I have good news to share that just about maybe coming up to 7 p.m. tonight, I've been able to contact my colleague there in the Davao Regional Office saying that she had been able to connect with me using the internal Wi-Fi network. So we're coming really close, really, really close to restoring and bringing back Mindanao online. And what really encourages us is what's going on in Visayas, because the network in Visayas is already up to 88% restored when it comes to wireless services, and up to 50% restored when it comes to fixed wired services. And we've been doing that 24/7, even as our frontliners are facing the very same challenges as in Mindanao, which makes it so much more difficult to conduct their work. They're facing impassable roads because of the fallen trees, because of how huge the storm had been. But they're continuing on, and we will be updating everybody on our social media sites on our restoration progress.
Cathy, aside from the massive debris on the roads, like you mentioned, what are some other factors you're looking into that may delay your restoration efforts? I understand this could last for days and even weeks.
Well, hopefully not weeks. We're very encouraged with what's going on in the Visayas, but as you've seen the progression of how things developed and evolved as Odette hit land, we noticed that 96% of the network connectivity disruptions were brought on by the connectivity, the power failures, the so-called commercial power failures.
Right.
So it's because of that that really knocked out our network connectivity in Mindanao as well as Visayas. For the remaining 4%, it's transport-related issues. And when I say transport-related issues, these are potentially maybe misaligned microwave equipment, maybe because of the strength of the winds and the rains that we've had to also realign that back. So just for an appreciation of the challenges that our frontliners face, it's really two-pronged as we're trying to restore our own networks with our fiber links in Mindanao.
As in previous disasters, we've seen this happen. You set up libreng tawag and charging stations in some of key areas badly affected by this storm.
That's right. And we've made a lot of progress. Libreng tawag and charging, otherwise known as free calls and charging, it's our communications as aid program. And that we've been able to make a lot of progress on. From last night, we've been able to open up the first libreng tawag charging station within an evacuation site in one of the most impacted areas in Surigao del Sur. This was in one of the evacuation sites. It was a converted covered court. So a lot of the evacuees there had been able to connect with their family members from outside Surigao del Sur to say, I'm fine, we've survived and we're here. And the other thing that we've been able to do very quickly is use the genset that we at Smart had brought in to light up the whole covered court and ensure the safety of the evacuees there. And they were numbering about over 70 families were in that evacuation site. We've been able to also become first responders the next day. That's today, early this morning in Cebu, when we've been able to set up the first libreng tawag and charging station just outside our Mabolo office in Cebu. And the very first customer who came forward isn't one of our customers. And it was a really interesting story because at the height of the landfall, Odette in Cebu City, her mobile service just conked out. And she was really afraid. And she wanted to call her parents and her family in Ormoc. So she rushed to the Libreng Tawag and charging station first thing when we opened at 9 a.m. this morning, and she'd been able to place that call. And it really heartens us to know that, this is the kind of service we want to bring as we try to restore to 100%. We're going to make sure that these stations will be set up in all the heavily impacted areas as soon as it's safest to do so. And we do open at 9 a.m. Manila time.
Right. Just very quickly, Cathy, sorry. Communication is a crucial lifeline during disasters, as we all know. No? Earlier today, disaster officials even cited the role of social media, where people posted messages begging for help while trapped in their homes. Now, moving ahead, how are telcos like PLDT and Smart looking into ways to help hasten future disaster response efforts?
Yeah, David, collaboration is really key to whatever we do. Even before Odette made landfall, we had already given load credits to the various local government units and agencies to ensure that they're able to carry on with their responsibilities and deliverables during the course of Odette's passage. So we've just been in constant communications with the likes of the Southern Leyte Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council, the National Telecommunications Commission in Maasin City, the local government unit there, the Gian Hotline, Catbalogan City LGU, the whole lot. And we want to make sure that we're looking to widen our scope of collaboration with government as well as the private sector as we move into that next phase of deliverables as a telco service, from restoration, which we've just talked about, to relief operation. And if I could just share very quickly, I've just come off a meeting today with the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, and generous members from the private sector, including the MVP group of companies, pledged cash and in-kind donations to ensure that we quickly get our relief goods to the most impacted in the fastest means possible. And we're working very closely with our own foundation in delivering those relief packs to the most impacted in the next few days, as soon as the weather improves. As you know, it's just 12 days to Christmas, so we want to make sure that everyone's just able to have a blessed Christmas despite the ravages of Odette. I think it's even less. I think it's 9 days away.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Cathy Yang, Corporate Communications Head for PLDT and Smart. Now,